Have you ever gazed at her and sensed something shifted? Her voice, her vibe, the way she glides near you. It's as if she's the same lady, yet somehow she's not. Here's the stark reality. When a woman has been close with someone, particularly someone fresh, she holds it in ways she can't conceal. And you sense it. Even if you can't pinpoint it, it's in how she guards her device, the fresh radiance. She doesn't even notice the subtle hints of another man's realm she carries back. Most guys overlook it. They find reasons. They refuse to see what's directly before them. But if you can decode these faint clues, you'll uncover all she thought she hid. Today, I'll reveal the silent, taboo signals every man must identify. First, she behaves as if she's concealing something, even when she's not. You don't need to be a psychic to tell when a woman has recently been close. You just need to notice the remorse she doesn't even realize she's showing. See, closeness isn't just bodily for most women. It bears an emotional load, and that load appears in her actions. Maybe she's not betraying. Maybe she's unattached. Maybe you're not even connected. But deep down, after being with someone, a woman often feels she's clutching a mystery, and mysteries always seep through the cracks. Here's how it appears. She abruptly becomes excessively courteous. Her voice is just a tad too gentle. She dodges direct gaze, but not shyly, in a cautious way. Or she does the reverse. She overdoes it. She gets overly talkative, excessively present, almost like she's trying to divert you from spotting what's altered. This isn't about catching someone in deceit. It's about grasping that closeness for many women sparks an inner adjustment. Whether it's remorse, secrecy, or just processing the moment, it makes her act differently. And if you know her usual pattern, if you've observed her typical flow, you'll catch this shift instantly. She might handle her device more often, keep her phrases briefer, or avoid staying too long in one spot, as if pausing might let you decode her. It's not in what she speaks. It's in the tiny actions. The partial grins that don't touch her eyes. The gaps between her words. The small acts of evasion she thinks you won't see. This isn't always trickery. Sometimes it's just the subtle, unconscious response to feeling altered, like she's holding something unsaid. And if you focus, you'll sense it because people don't hide well. They slip, and post-closeness. A woman often slips that something occurred, even if she's silent. Second, her exchanges with you abruptly shift. Here's something most guys overlook. When a woman has recently been close with someone, especially if it's fresh or emotionally intense, her exchanges with you will alter. Sometimes faintly, sometimes like a stone through glass. But it always shifts. If you're someone she's seeing, chatting with, or even just a male pal in her circle, you'll notice a change in how she connects with you. Maybe she grows distant. Suddenly, she doesn't reply as quickly. Her usual cheer fades. Her responses are briefer, not upset, but detached. Feels like she's elsewhere because she is. Other times, she'll do the opposite. She'll become oddly warmer, excessively kind, almost like she's overdoing it. Why? Because closeness alters a woman's emotional terrain. Her system recalibrates, and that shift seeps into her social conduct. If she's been with someone who thrills her, you'll notice a quiet confidence in her voice, a faint boost in poise, like she's shining. She might jest more, carry herself with freer, lighter spirit, speak in a way that feels like she's displaying joy. On the other hand, if she feels remorseful about it, she'll withdraw, become elusive, overly courteous, keep the talk safe to avoid mistakes. Either way, you'll sense the change because humans are creatures of habits. When you know her usual way, how she typically speaks, messages, and acts, even the smallest deviation stands out. Maybe she breaks her messaging pattern, cancels meetups with vague reasons, or starts sharing little alibis about where she's been. Sometimes she'll even spark arguments over nothing. Not because she's mad at you, but because she's processing remorse or testing your patience. Here's the uneasy reality. A woman doesn't need to admit anything for you to know. Her actions tell the tale. The sudden distance, the overdone kindness, the emotional unpredictability. It's not random. It's not just a whim. It's the emotional trace of closeness, the way it reshapes her focus and seeps out in how she treats you. And if you're attentive, if you're observing instead of fixating, you'll see it. Because every woman, no matter how adept at hiding, leaves traces in her actions after she's been with someone else. You just have to stop hearing her words and start watching how she shifts. Before we go further, there's something you need to view. I'm offering you a free copy of the Female Psyche Guidebook. Inside, you'll discover the hidden cues that make any woman desire you. Get it now, the links in the description and pinned comment. Third, her attire and grooming choices subtly change. One of the most ignored signs, how she presents herself. When a woman has recently been close, especially with someone new or someone she deeply craves, her style, grooming, and even fragrance often shift, and it's rarely by chance. See, closeness can trigger a ripple in behavior. She feels altered. She's been desired. Her femininity has been sparked. And women often show that by subtly tweaking their look. Maybe she puts extra effort into her cosmetics than usual, switches her hairstyle, wears a scent that wasn't part of her routine, or sometimes she does the opposite. She goes simple. Why? Because she doesn't feel the need to perform anymore. The closeness gave her a fleeting sense of affirmation, and that seeps into how she dresses and carries herself. If you know her usual style, this stands out like a beacon. For example, she normally dresses relaxed. Suddenly, she's dressed to dazzle for no reason. She starts wearing faint traces of his world. A jacket that isn't hers. A trinket she didn't purchase. Her grooming suddenly has a different tempo. Freshly polished nails when she didn't care last week, or a change in her scent that doesn't match her usual preference. These aren't random. They're expressions of a shift in her emotional state. And here's where it gets intriguing. Women rarely broadcast these changes. They leak them. They'll say, "Oh, I just felt like sprucing up today," or "I found this in my wardrobe." But you'll sense the difference because these changes aren't for everyone to notice. They're for someone, whether it's conscious or subconscious. Her appearance is a quiet reflection of where she's been and who she's been with. Men who miss this miss the truth right in front of them. Because a woman's style, scent, and grooming don't just change randomly. They change when her emotional world shifts. And post-closeness, that shift is almost always visible if you know where to look. Fourth, she seems familiar with things she shouldn't know. This one escapes most guys. When a woman has been close with someone, especially someone new, she often picks up tiny fragments of their world, and it seeps out in conversation habits or even private jokes she shouldn't logically know. It's not that she's trying to confess. It's that closeness creates familiarity, and familiarity always finds a way to show itself. Maybe she casually mentions a place she's never visited with you, drops the name of a cafe, band, or pastime she's suddenly into, quotes a phrase or repeats a line you know isn't hers. Or she suddenly adopts tiny habits. A new slang term she didn't use before, a slight tweak in how she messages or the emojis she picks, a subtle shift in her routines, rising earlier, sipping a different type of tea, listening to a genre she never liked. It's small. It's almost invisible. It's biology. It's bonding. It's her way of absorbing pieces of the experience. That's why, if you know her well enough, you'll notice these things instantly. She speaks differently. She moves differently. She carries fragments of another man's world in her words, her tone, her small behaviors. And if you're paying attention, you'll spot these leaks without her saying a word because closeness always leaves traces. Not just on her body, but on her identity. Fifth, she's extra guarded with her device. If you really want to spot a shift, don't watch her words. Watch her device behavior. When a woman has recently been close, especially with someone new, her relationship with her device often changes. Suddenly, she keeps it closer than usual, face down on the table, in her pocket when it's normally in her bag, always within reach. If she's normally relaxed with her device, leaving it out, letting you glance at the screen, this subtle guarding is a big clue. She might start taking it with her everywhere, even for small things like going to the kitchen. If you've ever noticed these shifts before but couldn't explain them, comment below. I see everything now. Let's see how many guys are finally waking up.